Tá treinando jiu-jitsu, né, Mel?
Slater, he's just won the 2016 Choco Surf Contest. Congratulations, man. That's really cool. We're really fortunate. Kelly's given us 5 minutes of his time. I'm not here to talk about surfing. I'm here to talk about jiu-jitsu and Kelly's, I guess, experience with Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Kelly, one thing that struck with me was I saw a meme with you, and it said, put your kids into jiu-jitsu before any other sports.
Yeah.
Why do you believe that?
Well, because I spent a lot of time around the Mendez brothers in at the art of jiu-jitsu school that they have
In California?
Yeah, in California, in Costa Mesa, and they have a couple hundred kids in there.
Yep.
And the kids are so respectful to each other, and you know, I don't know. There's something about it that just puts you in your place, even if you're the top guy. You realize if you're the top guy, you got to teach other kids. If you're the low guy, you got to learn from other people. And if you have insecurities, they get worked out on the mat.
Yeah,
and,
true.
You know, I just think that it's a humbling thing. And I mean, people think of martial arts and they think, oh, that'll make you a badass and you'll kick someone's butt, you know, and stuff. But to me, it's kind of the opposite. If it's treated right and it's taught correctly, I think that it's the opposite. I think it gives people confidence, and I also think with that confidence comes less ego, and comes more respect for other people.
Who did you first discover? How did you first discover jiu-jitsu?
Way through to the 90s.
Okay.
But Peter was he was a surfer guy from Malibu area, and he got into kind of like dealing weed when he was a kid, and then so he had these well, I'll probably sidetrack into a little bit of stuff, but his tie stick book, which I've optioned for a movie, and we're trying to get it made through Sony right now. It's a spectacular story about the weed trade, because it's you know, in Thailand, Vietnam, marijuana was considered just an herb you put in soups or whatever. But you know, in America, it was this big illegal drug, but it was a lower level drug. You know, it wasn't cocaine, it wasn't like heroin.
It was a softer drug.
Yeah, softer drug. So there's kind of this cat and mouse between the DEA agents and the pot dealers or the traffickers. So it's actually a really interesting story that goes back, you know, decades. But a lot of those guys were surfers. So Peter, being a surfer, he knew all the ins and outs, and he was actually connected into a lot of gangs in LA. He was sort of like a guy who helped deliver weed to those guys.
Okay.
And
how did that tie in with the jiu-jitsu? How did he start?
Well, that didn't necessarily tie in with the jiu-jitsu, but that was a sidetrack when he was a teenager or whatever. But eventually he became friends with Hickson somehow, and then Hickson trained him and taught him jiu-jitsu, and he was, I believe he was Hickson's first American black belt.
Okay.
So Peter, in '94, I ran into Peter just randomly. He was going to the trials, the Hague trials or something, like some war crimes trials for Bosnia or something in '94. And he passed through a friend of mine's house in France that I was staying at. And he was staying for one night, and I just got to know him. And, me and Shane Doran were there. And he started talking about jiu-jitsu, and he goes, I'd love to give you a little session. We laid in the yard, messed around in the yard, and he was giving me his back and let me try to choke him, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was trying to pull on his nose to get him to open his neck up. And that was my first session back in '94, I think it was, '95 maybe. Actually, I had one session before that in Brazil, my first time in 1992.
Okay.
On the beach with some security guards at the contest.
You weren't in any trouble with them?
No, they just showed me how to do an arm bar.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but
you mentioned to me the other day when we were having a chat how you first trained with Don the Dragon Wilson, and you felt bad because you kicked some kid in the butt and made him cry. So tell us about that, and how you went from sort of traditional martial arts with a legend like Don the Dragon, and how you then got into BJJ.
Well, when I was about 8 or 10 years old, there was a guy I surfed with he was sort of like training underneath Don Wilson. And Don lived 6 months a year in Cocoa Beach, in my hometown. His mom lived there, and then he lived the rest of the year, I believe, in Canada. but he would train in my hometown, like 2 blocks from my house, just by chance. And I don't even know how it really happened. It was just this guy I surfed with. He said, "Hey, you should come to that gym and train, you and your brother." So me and Sean went. And we got into it. And, you know, I was super limber. I mean, I could just stand and do like a split kick straight up in the air. And I had good balance. And you know, he saw that from our surfing. So he said, "You know, you guys should come and martial arts kind of translates really well from surfing."
Yeah.
So I don't know. We just started going to classes and training, and you know, it was probably only like 6 months I did.
Okay.
But I was between 8 and 10 years old. I loved it. I loved actually watching Don kick the bags and hit the bags. It was spectacular. He'd hit the heavy bag and throw the thing up against it. It was insane. And you know, with his style of Taekwondo, he was equal on both sides. You know, he was completely ambidextrous.
In terms of balance,
in terms of kicks, you couldn't tell the difference. Hey, ho! Sorry. You really couldn't tell the difference between if he was right or left-handed or right or left foot dominant. He was so balanced between the two, and that's one thing surfing doesn't have. You know.
You're either goofy or natural.
Yeah, you're goofy or natural. No one. I said many years ago, I thought that the future great the greatest surfer in the future would be regular and goofy equal, kind of like skating is.
Yeah, because I think they go fakie or normal.
And you know, if you see a really great skater or a great snowboarder, they can pretty much fake it either way, and look natural. I don't know how I ended up meeting Hickson exactly, but Hickson, I started reading about him and learning about Hickson and then following food combining, because he was into food combining with his diet, you know, the Gracie diet or whatever it's called, but based on the old Taoist idea of food combining, no proteins and carbs together. And so philosophically, I was really aligned with what they were doing. And in '98, I started getting really into that diet, and it helped me a lot. Basically, Hickson loves to surf, and he gets bored. He was getting boards from Channel Islands, who was my old sponsor, and I said, you know what? All of my free boards, just give those to Hickson. Like,
yeah,
you
right.
know, I would get like a free board a month to give to somebody, and I said, just sponsor Hickson.
Yeah,
so
cool.
I was like, I sort of became his board sponsor. And he gave us, in 2006, he took me and a buddy of mine that worked for Channel Islands at the time. He took us to his house, gave us a free session, you know, just a private at his house with him and Kron. And then I watched him and Kron roll for a while, and that was my first introduction, really, to where I went, wow, I love this thing. I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Okay.
I've trained with the who's who of jiu-jitsu, basically. You know, I mean, there's a few guys missing, but I mean, Mario Sperian, obviously Hickson Gracie, Vitor Belfort, Ricardo Arona, Checha, yeah, the Mendez brothers. I mean, I've been really blessed to have had some time with each of these guys.
Yeah, cool.
And you know, for me, I think I enjoy watching as much as I enjoy learning.
Yeah.
You know, I learn a lot from watching things or thinking about things, but just to watch them roll and then pulling up videos on, you know, some of the tournaments, watching Metamoris or watching, you know, some of the ADCC, that kind of stuff. I don't know, I love it. I'm a fan, definitely, as much as I am into it myself. When I stop traveling so much, I'll probably get more into it. And, you know,
have you got rank at the moment? Or are you?
No, I'm just a white belt. I'm a nothing.
Yeah.
I tell people I'm a clear belt. I'm like nothing. You know, but
and you prefer gi or no gi?
I prefer no gi. I like the technical aspect of the gi, but you know, I mean, for me, at this point in my life, the only reason to know it is in case I needed to stop something happening. You know, if I see somebody in a fight or if I get in a situation myself, and that's no gi. You know, that's just like on the street, you're gonna fall on the ground. And if you can stop something from getting worse, great. You know, no one really gets hurt in jiu-jitsu. It's, for the most part, unless you're gonna grab somebody's arm or knee and rip it off. But you know, if you grab somebody's neck and you put them to sleep, the thing's over and no one's getting hurt. You know.
You're known as a very competitive person. How do you find jiu-jitsu, you know, challenges you in that area?
Well, I think it's hard for me to think of the level I'm at and then think of the level I'm at in surfing, because in surfing I'm looking at who's the top guy, what are they doing right and wrong, and I can look at the best guy on earth, I can look at the 10 best surfers on earth and pick apart the things that they're good and bad at.
Okay.
You know, at jiu-jitsu, I can't do that. You know, and I really wish I had that knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, and actually, I was with Oscar De La Hoya the other day, and I was asking him about boxing, and I said, "What do you think about Conor McGregor?" Because I know Oscar's super into the UFC and MMA and stuff. He follows all that, and he goes, "Yeah, you know, he's all right. You know, his hands are all right." And I was like, "That's interesting because at his weight class in MMA, he's like devastating guys. You know, he knocked out Jose Aldo, who'd been the champ for 10 years or something. He'd never been stopped." And he's been taking guys out, he's stepping up 25 pounds to fight Nate Diaz.
Were you going for Nate or Conor?
That's an interesting question because I think, you know, I was going for Nate because I just thought, you know, Nate's just a natural badass.
Yeah.
You know, Conor's kind of got this hype train, and although I think that's pretty rad, I love the whole interaction and stuff. Deep in the fight, when Conor made it through the third round, I started kind of pulling for him. Just because at that point I started thinking, wow, he might actually make it through this fight. Because I thought at the end of the second round, I go, he's not going to make it past 3 rounds. And when he made it past 3 rounds, I went, wow, that's pretty heavy. In the fourth, he caught a second win, and I think he won the 4th round.
Yeah.
And he kind of won me over because he fought through adversity right there. He looked like a broken man at the end of the second and all through the third. And at the end of the fourth, I went, wow, this guy just fought through something special for himself, you know. And you know, the 4th round probably went Nate's way, but it was like 1, 2, and 4 went to Conor. And but you know, I know Nate a little bit. I mean, we're not like close buddies, but I text him once in a while, say good luck and you know, good job, whatever. I was really stoked when he won that first fight because, I mean, you got this guy's the most hyped fighter on earth. And you got somebody who trained for 9 days and taps him out. Puts him, you know, he's about to put him to sleep. He had to submit.
Cool.
And I thought that was that first fight. I thought was awesome. I was with about 50 friends, and I have a video of when it ended, and we all just jump in the air and we're just like, yeah, you know, just screaming for Nate. And it was cool. But I mean, I'm a sport fan. You know, I love MMA. I'm a huge UFC fan. I've been friends with Dana for a few years, and you know, I get really into the whole thing.
Cool. Mate, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I know you're very much in demand. And today's Chopper winner, Kelly Slater. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks. I mean, yeah.
Oh, we got Kelly and Brillo. Oh, man. Who do you got, Pedro? Here it goes, here it goes. Who do you got?
I got Brillo.
Okay, go to Brillo. Patty, go to somebody.
Ready.
Victor, who you talking to?
Watch your neck! Watch your neck! Yeah, breathe, bro. 3 guys, 3 guys.
Come on, Brillo, he wants to ride you. Oh! He wants to ride you like a surfboard. Uh-oh, Darth, uh-oh, guillotine. The mount ended you guys. I think what's happening. Oh, the back.
They're not gonna lose, folks.
There's gonna be a winner, but no loser. Move back, bro. Hold tight. Squeeze, bro. Oh, we're grabbing the shirt. Where's the ref? No grabbing the fence with the shirt. Do we have any Finish routine. Finish routine. After one round,